I've been hanging out with Tim Rogers and he loves to indulge in the pomp.
Today we're joined by Hayley Mary from the Jezebels to chat about her upcoming performance of The Who's Tommy with You Am I. We'll let you know about one of our fave Aussie artists that's coming to play at King Street. And Dan will let you know what's happening around Newcastle and the Hunter this weekend. Streaming from Awabakal and Warramai land, this is The Good Stuff on Newcastle Live.
This is
Good.
good stuff.
The Good Stuff! Naarm or Melbourne-based musician Didirri has just announced a show at King Street Hotel coming up in late October. This show will be part of his 10-date Heaving Chest tour. Didirri's body of work has culminated in sold-out tours both locally and overseas and received critical praise. Didirri will be here in Newcastle on October 27. To grab your tickets, head to newcastlelive.com.au or check us out on Facebook to see what everyone's talking about.
This is
Good
stuff. Powerhouse Aussie singer-songwriter Hayley Mary has teamed up with You Am I and Sarah McLeod to perform The Who's Tommy. Hayley joined us to talk about this collaboration and her upcoming album.
I'm just enjoying being up in New South Wales beach ways.
Yeah.
I'm living in Melbourne days, so I'm, it's a nice little blast from the past.
Are you up rehearsing at the moment or?
I'm rehearsing actually for my stuff because I've got this Tim Finn support tour in September.
Oh,
and I
cool.
don't have a lot of time between now and then because of the Tommy tour. So I'm rehearsing with my band that I'm doing that with. So just getting it sorted before it gets too late.
Yeah, that's really exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. So that'll come up just after the Tommy stuff, which is good.
Are you celebrating anything or is it just the support?
No, yeah, that's just the support. I'm currently recording my first proper album, so haven't had any new stuff out for a while. So I'm really looking forward to getting that finished. It's taken me quite a while.
Yeah.
Quite a while. But, I just figured get it right rather than rushing it.
Yeah, there's no point. I mean, if you've got the time to kind of get it right, then you may as well lean into it. I can't wait to hear it. What kind of vibe is it going or shaping up to be
it's
at the moment?
different to my first 3 EPs because I suppose a lot to do with partly the songs, but partly the production. Like I did my first 3 EPs with Scott Horscroft, and they were sort of exactly what I wanted at the time, which is like that rock and roll thing that he does so well. And I feel like they're quite a unified body of work. I mean, I did do one song with Oscar Dawson, but generally speaking, they're of a certain ilk and time in my life. But that was a few years ago, and it was COVID. And I think this album I wanted to make more sort of albumy and concept-y, maybe a little bit arty, for want of a less wanky word. So I've been hanging out with Tim Rogers and he loves to indulge in the pomp. So I'm like,
oh my goodness.
Own the pomp.
Yeah.
So I'm making like an art rock album, basically.
That's really exciting. And just talking about Tim Rogers, I mean, in that media release, he was quoted right and it was like, I'm sorry, I got to bring it up because it's just too good to get it wrong.
It was like you just aced high school alliteration class.
It was alliteration to the T. So a preposterous proposition of pomp, power and pithiness to be performed by our pop group with pals. How good is that? So have you kind of incorporated that into your day-to-day?
Here's the one thing I want to know. I don't actually know what pithiness means. I'm going to have to Google it.
I don't know what it means either.
I don't even know if it's a fucking word. Pithiness, terseness, and economy in writing and speaking. Okay, so it's like the opposite to verbose. Well,
okay.
I almost disagree with him on that, but I kind of get what he's saying. But it's quite. It's a lengthy album.
Yeah.
It's not exactly economic, but I know what he means, to get across. Actually, you know what? I've taken a full 360 actually, or is it 180?
180.
It's a 180.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you I do agree with him because in the story he gets so much in an album. Like I guess musicals are kind of like that. They bring in huge themes, often really problematic themes, and compact them into like a couple of moments in a song. So yeah, it brings like war, fatherlessness, child abuse, rock and roll, the problems with fame, cults, groupie culture, Christianity, and how people were kind of falling away from it. It actually brings a lot of stuff into a short-ish album when you think about that. So yes, all right, it is pithy. It's very pithy.
It's very busy. So how did the collaboration actually come about?
They just asked me.
Yeah.
Honestly. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's nothing too crazy. I mean, I in terms of how the project came about, I know that apparently years ago, Kate Blanchett suggested to Tim that he do a musical version of Tommy.
Oh my gosh.
And he just hasn't gotten around to it. So that's, I think that's where it's started.
And for the people that know the original album, is it going to be kind of a traditional tribute, or what kind of direction is it going in?
As far as I understand, we're going to be fairly true to the album and the format of it. There might be moments when it's like, you know, you want to lengthen that or shorten that, or maybe we just don't do that bit. But I think because we actually go into proper rehearsals on Sunday, so I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
The truth is I don't know, and I wish I could tell you more. But I do know that previously they've done some kind of performances of it, hinting at it, and they never have done the darker songs. And even The Who has always left out the darker songs. They've never performed them live. So the whole idea was that they want to do the whole album. So I'm pretty excited by that because there's some screwed up characters and screwed up events in there. And when I read it, I was like, because even if you've listened to that album, I think if you haven't seen the film, it's not clear how hectic the story is.
Yeah. I've only listened to the album. I haven't actually watched the film. I didn't know there was a film.
Yeah. You kind of got to get into the mythology and understand, like, he leaves a fair bit missing in the plot in the album. And so it's like it's a text that's developed over time, and you hear what it was going on. And I mean, some of it's obvious, like the song Fiddle About is pretty overtly about child abuse. But what happens in the beginning is a little bit ambiguous about whether it's the stepfather or the father that gets killed. But in the film, it's the father that gets killed. But yeah, just sort of things that a lot of kids have actually in that era, like it's something you don't really realize about that rock and roll generation, that they were kids of the war. Like almost like rock and roll was like a reaction, like a fantasy, like them performing some kind of dream, totally different reality, which is cool for me. I find that interesting because I grew up in Byron Bay, like in the 90s, and I kind of like and 2000s, and I hated the hippie movement because I was seeing the end of it. And so my whole life was like a reaction against it. But when you see read a story or listen to a story like Tommy, and it's about a kid coming out of the 50s and 60s who is dealing with that war generation and all the trauma that came from that, you can see why the hippie movement occurred as a kind of escape from it. So kind of gave me a little bit more sympathy for, you know, the past that shaped my life.
Yeah, of course.
Our parents as well, which is kind of cool. So it's good to read old texts and history and have a little bit of empathy for it, I suppose.
Yeah. Have you performed with You Am I before?
I did do something with them in COVID.
Yeah, okay.
It was one of those like music from the home front, I think.
Oh, yeah. So not in person?
No, we were in person. It was we did it at the Enmore on Anzac Day, and it was like we did a Skyhooks cover living in the 70s. So I performed with them. So obviously they thought I was partial to a bit of late 60s, 70s music. And they just thought
All because of the Skyhooks.
Yeah, I mean, that was their suggestion anyway, but
Yeah.
like they thought, oh, she seems open to it. Let's do it. Yeah, and I've just, met them around and hung out with them. They all seem very lovely, and they're very supportive of people who still have the maybe audaciousness, but also maybe just who are silly enough to try playing guitar music these days.
Yeah. Does it get frustrating for you, like hearing the stuff that's mainstream?
Yes, but I think that's always frustrated people. Like, and it might just be an age thing or something. Like, when I was 15, I liked mainstream music, and that's kind of who it's for. But I think every generation starts thinking that the pop music is pretty freaking bad. So, to be honest with you, now more than ever, musicians like who would consider themselves rock musicians have more respect for pop stars than they ever have done, and pop music is like really cool, cooler than it sort of used to be considered. But I do think I hear a lot of stuff that I think is empty and makes me feel nothing. But I'm not sure if that's where I'm at or where the world's at. I don't know, but I kind of do. I feel pretty much nothing for most music.
Yeah. Damn. That's rough.
I know. But maybe that's me, maybe that's because I'm in music and, who knows? It's and I'm probably not listening to enough. Like, I listen to podcasts mainly. So every now and then I get like a feeling from something, but it's generally old music. So I don't know if that's just because it had an impact on me as a kid and I'm nostalgic about it, or...
Well, look, thank you so much for spending some time with me.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
This is where it
Sounds good.
good stuff.
From the Newcastle Live Gig and Event Guide this weekend, Wild Turkey 101 will bring the party to the Stag and Hunter Hotel with Maddie Jane. The Rattle and Hum show rolls into Belmont 16s, and Brian McVernon and the Rockets from Oz take over the Wickham Park Hotel. And finally, Finney and Johnson will play the Stockton Bowling Club. To find out all the details about those gigs and more, head to newcastlelive.com.au.
The good stuff. That's it for the good stuff today. I'd love to say a big thank you to Hayley Mary for joining us for a chat. You can catch Hayley Mary with You Am I and Sarah McLeod at the Civic Theatre on August 2. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow from 4 p.m. for more of the good stuff.